Okay, it's about 2 minutes after 1, and I think it's time to get started. Everyone isn't quite here yet, but the good news about all of our webinars is that we record them all. And typically, right after the webinar or shortly after, we'll send you the recordings and all the slides. So, no worries. And I say that also because I talk pretty fast. And I have so much content for you all today. Our Shift 2021 conference was absolutely phenomenal. We gathered in Orange County at the Balboa Bay Resort, and they outdid themselves with the hospitality in terms of the resort, but also our team did. Many of you know that we're based out of Greenville, South Carolina. So deep South, great Southern hospitality. And so we are just treated so well as attendees. And certainly it makes me so proud to be part of a conference that is such high quality and such high level attendees, speakers, and content. Actually, we kept it super COVID safe. And if my selfies start looking a little bit better, it's because of some of the great gifts we got. I got, this is for like a selfie light. 3 different light levels, and also a big favorite. I think we always do really great water bottles, but this year we did an amazing one. It's the Corksicle brand, and so we just have gifts that we share with our attendees, and just lots of hospitality. So anyway, we're just coming back, and we're still obviously on a little bit of a high from our conference. So my job today, oh my gosh, if I'm up to the challenge, which I am, is to talk to you about our Hinge news and updates, do a conference recap, which will include key takeaways from every session. And then I will try to reserve about 5 minutes at the end for addressing questions in the chat box, and also any just general Q&As. If we run out of time, certainly I'm always available for a quick phone call or to answer emails. And my trusty, fabulous admin gal who does all of our marketing, Meredith Douglas, is on this call with us, or on the webinar with us. And she's great about giving content or giving answers to questions in the chat box, and making referrals for you. So you're in great hands with her as well behind the scenes. Okay, so let's get started. The latest news and updates from Hinge. This is amazing. I'm going to talk about this on a slide shortly, but Kathe Ligon and team have been working, honestly, she's been working for many, many years on the framework platform that she's built. And it's an amazing platform that will help you benchmark your current performance and give you access to really good reports, sort of playing the what if game. I'm actually an owner of 3 locations in Charlottesville, Virginia, as well as a team member at Hinge. I do client relations. And so as an owner, being able to have something that isn't as scary and be able to play with numbers. What if I raised my staff salaries X%? What if my rent wasn't quite as high? What if I was at full or almost full occupancy? And there'll also be an idea exchange community within the framework. So framework built by Hinge. If you're interested, please email. You can email me, Kathe Petchel at hingebrokers.com. And for more information about it, we're expecting it to launch January 1st, and we're super excited. And huge kudos and congratulations to Kathe Ligon for always being forward thinking for our industry and being a leader. And we're so excited. We announced on our last day of the conference, our next Shift Childcare Conference is, wait for it, December 6th through 9th. 2022 in the Stein Erikson Lodge. We're really excited. Park City, Utah. Absolutely gorgeous venue, amazing meeting space, and you can come early or stay late and get some skiing in as well. Also, I'm thinking there might be really good Christmas gifts or holiday, Hanukkah, etc. type gifts and shopping. And Jacqueline and Meredith from our team will knock this one out of the park, as they always do. They're envisioning hot chocolate and blankets and sleigh rides. So please mark your calendars now, December 6th through 9th, and join us, especially if you missed this time. I know the people that were here are already like jumping on this. So if you missed, please jump on it as soon as registration opens. I can't emphasize this part enough. The childcare market is hot, hot, hot. One thing Alec Liggins said from the main stage when we were doing our introductions is, hey, we sell childcare businesses and we do a lot more, and you all are benefiting from content and lots of relationship building and networking, but we also help owners when they're ready to exit on determining who's a good buyer for them and how they want to leave their legacy. And so if you're interested in selling your business and or the real estate, please go ahead and reach out to us, info@Hinge Brokers, or you can certainly email me and I will point you in the right direction. Before I start the recap, I wanted to tell you that Molly Hitchens from our team, Mike Pepper, and me, we will all be attending a sequel event. It's a full day in-person event in Palm Springs, California. And we're really excited to be invited again by Dave Espen, Sequel Californians for Quality Early Learning. And so if you're from California and in Sequel, please plan to attend. It's November 6th all day. It's going to be a beautiful event at a gorgeous private school, and we're looking forward to that. All three of us will be speaking. Here's a couple pictures from our recent event, Make Shift Happen 2021. And now I'm starting on content, and I will talk fairly quickly because I've got a lot of meaty bullet points. What I did, and I did this last time from main stage, the very last day, the very last session, I tried to, and I think I did it pretty successfully, recap a couple key points of every speaker and every presentation. And we thought, well, that would be a really fun way to do it this time, but by a webinar. We had a few people that had to miss due to COVID, and other people had to miss due to staffing issues. And we all know what that's like. It's a national crisis, not just in our industry. So our first day was all things staffing. So we started with Phil Vaccaro from EY Parthenon, Investment in the Early Childhood Industry, and Kathe Liggins interviewed him, and Phil had some great slides and a wonderful presentation. And some of the bullet points were that 12,000 early childhood centers in America have remained closed as of September 2021, mostly what he calls mom and pop. So I would call them private owned. They obviously aren't like the big franchises or the big groups. And so 14,000, that's a lot of centers. Current enrollment bounce shows optimistic market outlook. As businesses are going back and asking their employees to come back to work, we're seeing an enrollment bounce. Of course, we know our problem is we've got to get the staff for that bounce. I loved one quote that Phil said, which was, be the employer of choice. Once you get this right, you're set. And several other recommendations: prioritize safety. And that wasn't just for the children or the families. That was also, of course, for the staff. Determine changes in family needs. What are their schedules? How are they different? Are one parent working remotely? How can you adjust your schedules and support your families? And then your illness protocols, of course. And then continue to advocate for favorable policies in response to federal stimulus dollars, and also the threat or opportunity of universal pre-K. One of the best presentations we had, and one of the most sought after, was Travis Steva coming from Indeed. This was his third year, and this time we challenged him with a main stage presentation as well as a breakout where he dug a little bit deeper into people's individual Indeed ads and sort of all the nuances of Indeed. But in general, Travis is, oh my gosh, he actually works for Indeed in the trucking and the supply piece of Indeed. And so we're having it, and I don't know how many of you have been to stores lately, and we're seeing that the supply chain is quite challenged. Quite a lot of boats or shipping is offshore and not being able to be unloaded because of the lack of staff, again, in the shipping industry as well. So Lots and lots of great research from Travis and the Indeed team. Competition for talent is fierce. He said, just start with pay. Stop complaining and saying we can't find staff. Start with pay. The U.S. Treasury report, the average American family spends about 13% of their income on childcare. And a U.S. labor report, average childcare salary, $25,000. Oops, sorry for the typo, $4,006 a year. And a Penn State study, and again, studies and research, can go either way. But this particular study, the labor in childcare costs 80% of childcare budgets. Obviously, that's not sustainable. And that's where the government funding is helping us a lot, but we'll need to, sort of reset eventually. So he also recommended being clear on vaccination requirements and considering bonuses for vaccinated staff. Of course, our licensing or states will take that away from us if they haven't already in terms of us making a decision about vaccinations. And then Indeed tips, very quality, make sure you have high quality job titles, less than 35 characters. Job titles should be basic. Teacher, teacher assistant, nothing too fancy. Shorten your hiring process and continually ask staff to post positive reviews about your company. Another thing he talked a lot about is making sure that your business page on Indeed is fully built out with your logo and some pictures. Of course, I just said about posting reviews. All of those will really help you get to be the employer of choice, as Phil Vaccaro had stated. We did our first panel and it was called My Team is Rocking It. Kathy Lagan invited Alita Mechtel from Children of Tomorrow, Mark Byerly, Learning Care Group, Carol Gatewood from the Learning Tree, and Maria Fitzgibbon, Leap Academy in Wisconsin. And the goal was to have a larger group, Learning Care Group, and smaller 4 or 5 site locations, and then a 1 site owner to have a discussion and share what they're doing in terms of rocking the staffing crisis presently. My slides have quite a lot of content, and again, don't panic if you're not keeping up with trying to do screenshots. We'll send you the slides. One thing Alita does is an attendance bonus, and I'm actually in her private Facebook group for her staff. And then she'll do group kudos on the Facebook group. So woohoo, the following people got attendance bonuses for this pay period. I wonder who will get the next attendance bonus. So that public kudos within their group and bonusing and, encouraging, maybe you missed it this time. I bet you'll get it next time. I wonder who will get it next time. So I love that. And she actually did a heartfelt letter from herself, wrote it to all of her staff this year, recapping the year and saying, wow, we did it. We got through this incredibly crazy year with COVID, and we got staffing, and, parent anxiety is at an all-time level. All of you have had to take care of your families and so on. And did a letter to each of her staff, which I thought was a really, very sensitive, empathetic gesture. And then the book Dream Manager, Alita loves that, and she puts her money where her mouth is. She knows what all of her staff dream about. They want to lose 20 pounds. They want to buy a new car. They want to go to Disney World. And so she continues to implement Dream Manager, and she attributes all of those things for her success with staffing. Mark Byerly really kept, again, very large group, very strong communication with the locations. So they're in many, many states. And so what is happening in one state or one demographic might be a little different from another demographic. And so strong communication. Carol Gatewood from the Learning Tree. And she's just, she's a childcare rock star. She just always has innovation. Implemented a bonus system for current teachers through the end of the year with some of the grant money and the state funds. And, again, that was through the end of the year, maybe not sustainable long-term, but really showing appreciation for staff all the time. And then she improved her health insurance options. And I love this one, Gratify, and I gave you the link for it. She added Gratify and is working with Gratify to help staff pay off their student loans. So when you link back to a dream manager that Alita does, and then Gratify paying off student loans, that's a beautiful combination of what do staff need help with and what can we support them with and how can we be a good resource for them. Maria Fitzgibbon, oh, awesome. Amazing one site location in Wisconsin. She invested heavily in a teacher mentor program. All of those are great ideas. And more from Alita. Alita did a breakout session on 10 steps to become fully staffed. And she's with Children of Tomorrow in Minnesota, and also has a company, Teachers for Tomorrow, which is a substitute company. And so she did a presentation on the difference in substitutes and full-time teachers and the benefits of having a core group of substitutes who actually might end up becoming the right fit for a permanent staff position. So she differentiated what subs want and what regular full-time or part-time staff want. And they both want flexibility now, but subs really must have flexibility. Maybe they have commitments. For instance, a boomer staff member might have commitments with grandchildren or travel commitments, or maybe an aging elderly parent or someone that's still coming out of COVID situation that might have some type of immunity issue. So subs desire the flexibility, but they may transition to full-time. And then full-time staff want that consistency. They want, I want to work 8 to 5. I want to know when my break is. I need benefits. I would like some paid time off or even unpaid time off. But that again, flexibility, but they need that steady paycheck, where a sub may be more flexible with that. And then full-time staff would want a permanent right fit. So they're really looking at your culture. Actually, both groups are. Onboarding, one of her secret sauces is, especially for the subs, but she does this for her regular staff as well, I'm sure, train in all the age groups, particularly for a sub or a floater type position, making sure that they have plenty of time in that infant room, even though you think you might be placing them most of the time in a preschool 3-year-old classroom, for instance. She pays her mentor teachers, who are their trainers, and gives a specific checklist. And what she does unique on this is not only does the mentor teacher sign off on the training, for instance, diapering training or hand washing or ratios, but the trainee, the substitute or the new staff member also signs off, so that you've got that documentation going back later to hold them accountable. And then the continual check-ins, I attended her session and I thought this was such a good aha. Don't make assumptions, even if you've hired them as a sub, that they might not want to be a permanent staff member. We had a great session with Gigi Schweikert out of Lightbridge Academy, fantastic early childhood leader. And I am so sorry I did not attend her session because I was doing one of my own breakouts. But in general, it was a lot about leadership and, really starting with yourself, sort of the me, going into the we. Leaders looking at themselves, their expectations for their team, how we respond as leaders, and then also the ability to be patient. If you would like more information about Gigi's presentation, please reach out to me and I will connect you with her. She's a gifted speaker. People absolutely love her. And Lightbridge Academy has a great history, and we are really happy to have her participate at our Shift conference. Molly Hitchens from Hinge did 2 presentations. She did a digital marketing one on building enrollment as a breakout. And she's asked me to let you know she's going to be doing an upcoming webinar on this. So she didn't want to give away any of the secrets until she could do a specific webinar where she would actually be present and able to answer questions and really customize what y'all are going through right now. She also did a main stage presentation that I'll talk about in a minute. We challenged Travis Steva from Indeed again. This was his breakout, his online strategy. And here's a couple of the takeaways from Travis, Indeed.com. And I've built a really good relationship with Travis, as have many of our attendees. It's sort of like a reunion when we see Travis, but a couple of his takeaways this year: removing barriers to entry. As people are coming back and getting ready to get back into the workforce, and maybe they're not from early childhood and they're coming from another industry, or maybe they are a little nervous about coming back to work, make sure you remove the barriers. Don't require that cover letter. It takes a long time for someone to customize a cover letter. Anything we can do to minimize their need to, or to minimize the work they have to put in to apply, is something we want to do right now. Remember, most of our employees and customers are millennials right now, and it's going to veer right into lots and lots of Gen Zers. They're a little bit more impatient. They're very digital and mobile, very strong abilities digitally. They're Johnny on the spot, quick. So make sure that the application process is not complicated, and you streamline the virtual interviews. I know we actually at Bright Beginnings have people that look at our Indeed every 3 hours, and we've just gone ahead and set alarms on our phones, and we just check Indeed and make sure that if someone has thought to apply with us, we are, same thing, back, removing any barriers that were, responding very quickly. Lean into benefits and put this in your content. He really likes bullet points. Lean into benefits. It's a career opportunity. Joining the early childhood field will offer training. You get support and growth. One thing we do that no other industry can do, guys, is childcare discounts. And while that is definitely a line item in terms of profitability and revenue, childcare discounts right now is something we can offer that no one else can. And then differentiating your program. How do you differentiate? I know if you've got like an outdoor classroom, for instance, or you're really wanting to be outside and, keep that social distancing, go ahead and say that. Say, our teachers love spending time outside. We take our literature and library time outside, and then certainly be posting pictures, obviously, on social media as well. But saying that on your Indeed ad, who doesn't want to be outside, playing and doing activities? Don't keyword stuff. Don't use emojis or symbols, which for Indeed is considered clickbait. And here's an example: sign up now with the dollar signs. Your ad will not get approved, or your ad will not get shown well if you're doing this. That's a never. And then job ads. A job ad is not a job description. This was an aha to me from Travis. The job description can be bullet points, but your ad, less than 2,000 characters, bullet point it, keep it in simple language. One of the ahas I got from Travis was use the language of the people that are applying for the job. So if you're wanting a college degree staff member that's ECE, certainly you should be using early childhood education languaging. If you want someone with a high school degree, you want to keep it, just very, very simple and very engaging and, open to wanting to work. We'll train you. And great to have, talking about culture and why your culture is awesome. Your corporate responsibility, how you might be giving back to your community. We're all doing it. We just don't talk about it. And then realistic growth opportunities. I did 2 breakout sessions at Shift this year. One of my favorite things to do is main stage or breakout webinars. I love presenting. I think, we all come from a teaching background, and in particular, I really like to do a lot of research based around my presentations. So one of the things I'm recommending this year for hiring trends and forecasts is having a specific visual graph of how you're going to do your career ladder with your team, with your new staff, and with your current staff. So maybe something that's actually a ladder, or something that steps. The entry pay is X. once you achieve a CDA or X number of hours of training, your pay bumps to, another dollar, for instance. And I have a couple really beautiful visuals on career ladders that we've created at Bright Beginnings. Feel free to email me and I'll give it to you. Sometimes it's just nice to have just a quick visual so you can create on your own. Certainly you could probably Google career ladders as well, but several other people in the industry have really good ones as well, and I'm happy to share. Again, my email, kpetchel@hingebrokers.com. I'm noticing the trend, hold on to your hats, higher pay $2 to $4 more an hour. We think that's very difficult to sustain unless you're raising tuition or cutting somewhere else. It's really hard to cut somewhere else right now because actually our expenses are a lot higher. In particular, like our cleaning protocols and also our staffing, the extra amount of staff we have to maintain certain ratios, keep group sizes smaller. So not only are we paying more, we're having to have more staff. And then we can't leave out our current full-time staff and paying them more. So across the board, higher pay is an absolute trend. One workaround would be doing performance bonuses instead, or a combination of we'll pay you X dollars more an hour, and as Alita does, the attendance bonus, or once you complete a certain number of hours of training, a training bonus, or I do a full room bonus. Face it, when you bring that tour in and you're starting a new toddler or a new 2-year-old in the midst of, a biter in the toddler room, that teacher might roll their eyes to you and say, oh my gosh, not another one. And so they do work harder when the rooms are more full. So I, would offer that as an opportunity as well. Flexibility, key. That's probably my number one takeaway word for you from a hiring trend and a forecast. Flexible schedules, flexible hours, giving them more time off. If they think they might have a COVID symptom or the flu coming up now, any type of communicable symptom, we got to let them have time off. We have to do a lot of trust and a lot of grace, giving a lot of grace. Overhire and overstaff until your team is trained and performing, and then you can regroup. But right now, the more training, the better. And gosh, how many of us lived through August and kind of were going crazy? August was a rough month in terms of staffing and hiring. I was actually in the classroom 2 full days, and that's very unusual. But when my team says we need help, it's incumbent on the leaders to provide help. Continue to lead with empathy, especially relating to physical and mental health issues, and then inclusion and workplace happiness, especially after the seclusion of COVID. Tony D'Agostino did a great presentation. Unfortunately, I missed it and I don't have his slides, but please reach out to us and I can get you a little bit more content. But in general, what IC360 does is supports owners in lots of ways, but he spoke in particular about having competitive benefits to differentiate you from your competitors. And he has a lot of creativity, and we always love having Tony attend our conference and love having him be a speaker. So thanks to Tony and Inspire 360. Our keynote this year was Jen Lynn. Awesome gal, really cool story. I had heard her on another occasion and actually recommended that she come to our event. She just released a book, Beyond Happiness, and everyone got a copy of it. Beyond Happiness, How Authentic Leaders Prioritize Purpose and People for Growth and Impact. In general, her presentation was amazing. Just a really cool life story. I'll give you a couple highlights, and it was just full of great content. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. I think being responsive and adaptable is absolutely huge, and that was inspired by Charles Darwin. What she recommends is building adaptable teams. So we adapt, we respond to change with autonomy, So the team should have autonomy, alignment, and accountability. Strong employee relationships ripple into strong customer relationships. I think that's awesome. I should have bolded that. Um, Parents can tell when they walk into your school and the staff are teaming well and the staff and teams get along, and when they don't, or when they have a lot of extra stress that they can't hide. And then happiness framework, sense of control, a sense of progress. I can control what I'm doing with my job. I can see our company is progressing forward. We're following our vision, and what we're doing is meaningful. And then that connectedness. I don't know how many of you have heard of the World Happiness Report. If you want to Google it, it's called World Happiness Report 2021. And it's fascinating. One thing they do is poll employees from a lot of the big companies and get a numerical score of happiness for the employees. And then, of course, companies that care about their employees, which obviously, if you're participating in this, you do care about your employees, respond. You can do this too, with a survey monkey, a pencil paper survey. What would make you happier? What they're finding, and I think this is straight out of COVID, is the inclusion is the number one piece. People want to be included. Definitely flexibility, but included. They want to go to work where they see their friends. And so when we create a culture of inclusion and connectedness, as Jen talks about, it benefits, obviously your staff and your team, your families, but most importantly, the children. This was a great pop-up session. This was actually surprising when Kathe Legan asked how many attendees knew about the ERTC, the Employee Retention Tax Credit. Quite a few people did not. Now, I'm sure their CPAs did or their accountants, but a lot of the owners and managers did not. So we arranged a pop-up session for the next morning at 7 a.m. And I think shout out to Kathe Legan for really being really solving this and getting great content out to our teams or to our attendees. I have a handout if you would like it. My email's on this slide, and I'm happy to send. I can scan it and we can email that to you. But in general, the funds are available until they run out. So if you don't know about this, get to your CPA right away. I'm not giving you all the content on this slide, but just the gist of it is businesses may qualify in two ways. And a lot of people, I did attend this session, a lot of people feel like, oh, this doesn't apply to me. And Josh was very articulate in saying, in most cases, it will apply to you. If you've had a reduction in your gross receipts by over 50% for any calendar quarter in 2020, compared to the same calendar quarter in 2019, you'll qualify. And if you were forced to partially or fully suspend your operations, so if your state did not allow you to be open for a certain period of time, if you had to actually suspend maybe your ratios because of cohort grouping and all, we recommend that you see your CPA or tax professional for your particular situation. This is only a partial recap, but 7 a.m., I think there were 37 people that attended this breakout pop-up session. So thank you to Josh for this. Financial trends and opportunities, Kathe Legan. Recovery is averaging 75 to 80%. Some recovery is lagging just because of staff shortages and creating what we call artificial wait lists. The big five are listed. These are the things you should focus on always. I'm going to reference framework again and say all of these will be addressed in our framework platform. But if you want to just get ahead of the game, these are the 5 areas you should be focusing on. Molly Hitchens' biggest barrier to profit, hiring. So Molly was challenged with talking about hiring from the marketing point of view, and she knocked it out of the park. It was a great main stage presentation, and here's just a couple key takeaways. Push your hiring message just like you would do your enrollment. she looks at websites all day long as client relations for Hinge. And she said most people do not have robust careers pages. Most people have them, but they're not utilizing them as well as they could. You've already got a website, you're already paying for it. It is a little bit more time. If you would want to reach out to Molly, I'm sure she would point you in the right direction of several careers pages that she thinks are particularly good. Create a teacher specific blog. Again, we know all those internet spiders really like when we have authentic content, and having a teacher specific blog is one way. And then consistent positive referrals from your parents and your staff. This echoes what Travis said in terms of the Indeed platform, but it also would be for all of your social media. And then all of the parent, greatschools.org or Winnie or care.com, all of those search platforms as well. She recommends consider hiring a full-time hiring call center person. And it could be someone remote. They could be working from home and just reaching out to all of your leads. Maybe it's Facebook ads, maybe it's Indeed, maybe you're doing any other platform, but having someone that is really looking at what the needs are for all of your locations and or all of your classrooms, and really making sure that you don't miss a candidate that might be a really good fit for your company. Millennials make up the largest portion of the workforce. They like meaningful work, so make sure that is in your ads and your languaging, and they like that flexibility. And Molly's going to be doing an upcoming webinar on this as well. We had a great panel on financial strategies. Jack Safer, Brightside Academy, James Emsch, one of my all-time faves, Valley Childcare, Michelle Smith-Lang, oh my gosh, also another all-time fave, Kids World Learning Center in Georgia, and Jeff Wall. What a sweet guy. This was a great group. In general, financial strategies from all of them. And again, we did a combination of one site owner, Michelle Smith-Lang, fabulous, James, multi-site but private owner, and then two of the bigger groups, Brightside Academy and Big Blue Marble. Jack Safer, biggest priority during COVID was taking care of the staff. Love that. Shows so much empathy. We're nowhere without our staff. James, this is really cool. Great aha. He charges for the schedule the parents need. He's always done it like this. With James' history, his grandpa started the company, and so he's third generation owner of Valley. And they've always done it where the parents do, if they need 5-day full-time, they're charged for that. But if they only need, 1 or 2 days. And so his platform looks more like a drop-in platform, which would be a great strategy right now coming out of COVID, with anxious parents and anxious employers saying, when are you coming back? And the parents are saying, once I get great childcare. So good idea. Michelle Smith-Lang, she said she transitioned from being a little bit more of a professional, slightly hands-off owner, although I can't imagine she's always super warm, to really knowing every staff member personally. So where before it was more leadership, now it's one-on-one mentoring and getting to know staff. And that is an excellent strategy coming out of COVID, where people really need that extra couple minutes of listening and your full attention. That eyeball to eyeball full attention is really important. And I know she does a great job with that. And then a go big or go home. She took her staff on a cruise. It was, a benefit. It was an incentive. And boy, the next year, everybody's lining up to qualify for that cruise. And then Jeff from Big Blue Marble, I love the way he said this, green to greener. So the programs, multi-site, they've got many locations, green to greener, the ones that are doing really well, incentivize them to keep doing well. Love that. And then added 50% maternity leave pay. So he really went kind of big on benefits, and reduced parent discounts, but added staff discounts. Again, he's going to get a lot of staff that way. He's, honoring moms, honoring maternity leave, and honoring that staff want to work and contribute to the community, but also be with their children. Strategies to recession-proof your business. Oh, one of my favorites, all-time faves, Better Beans. Neil Sengupta and Katie Lee Conwell came in and talked about strategies to recession-proof. And recession-proofing could be, how are you prepared for COVID? How are you prepared for an economic decline? How are you prepared for some storm, something that hits, a literal storm or some kind of bump in your business? And some of the strategies they talked about: stockpiling cash, having a business pro forma with a break-even budget, so you know exactly what you have to break even, and then a best case and worst case scenario. Also, and I love this, what do you need in your household when the next crisis hits? How will you and your family adjust? I think that has everything to do with, can we put off buying the new car? Do we need to save more money for college? What about private school tuition or summer camp? What do we need to do in general for our households? That is something that we consider as business owners, because we're maybe the first ones that wouldn't get that paycheck. Review your sales process. Obviously, reviewing our sales process it has to do with our tours, and also I would say our sales process for our staffing. So review to make sure that we're not losing out on any customers. And then just being first on a new innovation, being first on following up on a phone call or following up on a tour. I did a second breakout on 10 ways to increase the value of your school. I did more than 10, but I just gave you a couple here. Increase your license capacity is a great strategy, particularly since 20% of programs nationally have closed, or that 14,000-ish. Adding intentional sizzle. Survey your parents and find out from your former parents or any lost enrollment, maybe what they want. Maybe you think they want computers and they really want language immersion, or they really want more outdoor play. So find out what the sizzle would be that would get your enrollment moving. Update and remodel your facility indoors and out at least every 8 years, and work your way out of a job. This is probably the number one, by having a deep bench. If you're working in your business, you're not working on your business. And in terms of increasing the value of your school, buyers want to see a school that can run without you. Love to talk about this. This is one of my favorite topics. Exit strategies, similar topic, and the selling process. So several members of our team did a really popular breakout on exit strategies. I love this. Here's the exit strategies that are common. Closing the doors. Oh my gosh, no, I hate that strategy. We don't want you to close your doors. And I follow quite a few of the Facebook groups, and I see that actually just yesterday I saw someone say, I'm done, I'm burned out, I'm just closing. I think it was by the end of the year. I hate to see that. We may or may not be able to help you sell your school, but we can give you strategies besides closing your doors. And one strategy might be selling to the next generation. One might be someone wanting to get into the industry in your area, or a local competitor. Of course, there's really wonderful regional and national groups, and that if you're large enough, you could consider selling your entire platform to private equity. This is what Hinge does really well. Our buyer base is very strong. We've got, I think, over 400 really qualified buyers, and that's what our team does so well. So if you are considering selling, please reach out. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. But don't close your doors. Let us try to at least brainstorm with you a bit. Valuation. So if you're considering selling, what's my school worth? The industry is really attractive to investors. Remember, I just talked about the private equity group. They love us. There were quite a few private equity individuals at our conference last week, and I got to talk to several of them. And, they're really interested in our industry. We're not going anywhere. And I think we proved that during COVID by being essential and I think we were very creative and we innovated right away, way faster than the public schools. Shout out to our industry. Real estate prices decreased slightly in 2020, but it looks like they've rebounded to pre-COVID numbers already, which is very positive. And then examples of factors that might affect your multiple when you're looking at evaluation. How many schools do you have? The level of your EBITDA or cash flow. Of course, we're looking for great cash flow. That's very attractive to a buyer. The age and condition of your real estate, your staff stability, and the go forward management. Remember, I said earlier, building your bench so that you're not doing everything. And then the geographic and the demographics of your market. Sorry, I'm whizzing through because I don't want to leave anybody's content out. Business, real estate, and creating wealth. Great presentation. Mike Pepper and Henry Tiberi did this for our team. Childcare real estate, still really attractive. I'm repeating that. Estate planning 101. If you own your facility, you could consider selling your business and keep your property and either rent your property to the buyer or sell your property to a REIT. So more information on that if you need it, certainly reach out to us. Using P&Ls to drive results like a boss. Julie Wasserman, breakout, out of California. She's actually a consultant now. I was shocked how busy and well attended this content was. One would think a lot of business owners would not need to know how to use a P&L. That room was packed. And so it shows me that people really want that content and want to make sure they're up to date on basics. A financial statement that reviews revenue, expenses, and profit over a specific period of time is actually what a P&L is. One suggestion she had was grouping expenses on your P&L, because you can play with it in your QuickBooks on controllable and non-controllable. So you can set some goals on things that you can control. Paper products, different supplies, maybe cleaning supplies. And then she talked a lot about tracking KPIs, key performance indicators. Choose a KPI, maybe it's labor. Engage the staff members that are going to help you manage it and then start tracking. It's kind of a test and measure, and then review your results and keep tweaking. Radha Moha from the ECEC group, a lobbyist group based in Washington, D.C., was another keynote speaker for us, reimagining childcare in America. And what she did was, it was a conversation with Kathy Ligon, very, very articulate, extremely knowledgeable about our industry and how to understand about federal funding and how it's being dispersed to the states. One of her key themes was that advocacy is essential and letters and calls to legislators will really make a difference. An anecdote that she said was, I think there were like, someone wanted to change something with their state legislator, and I think 7 people wrote a letter or did a phone call, and that got the attention of the legislator. So as few as 7 people. So our voices do matter. Universal pre-K continues to be a hot topic, and doing mixed delivery in particular is misunderstood by lawmakers. Again, a reason for us to join our state groups. Shout out to the Virginia Child Care Association. They asked to join today and see our content, and we love to share. Lots and lots of organizations are in, there's usually at least one in every state. If your state doesn't have one, please consider starting it, and Radha would be a really good person to start with. She's happy to assist with connections, and they also have particular talking points that they will share. Implementing growth opportunities. Thad Joyner. If you've never heard Thad Joyner speak, you have not lived. He is a great speaker, super fun, quite controversial, and really thought-provoking. His big theme was zig when they zag. And it sounds sort of silly till you hear him give his whole presentation, and it is not silly. do something different. If everyone else is reducing their hours, now's the time for you to expand your hours. If everyone else is having parents bring food in, now's the time to get on the food program. Zig where they zag. If you are doing something just like everyone else, he thinks that's a red flag. He thinks that you should slow down and consider what can you do different, zigging while they zag. Consider competitive opportunities. If you're not doing subsidy, consider subsidy. If you don't have a bus, get a bus to offer before and after school care. Changing hours of operation. Would you be open on Saturdays? That would differentiate you in your market. I know we don't have staff for it, but once we have staff, it might be a great idea. And then your best future staff are already working, in his opinion, for your competitor. What can you do? He's got some very creative ideas, like putting yard signs close to their building. Like I said, if you haven't heard that, you're missing out. And then one of our last panels was preparing for the future, growth, grants, and advocacy. This was another really awesome group. This was Terry Holmes out of Creme de la Creme, Aretha Kitson, one of our favorites out of Delaware, and Ron Packard, Pansophic Learning in Virginia. And in general, this was the agreement and the conversation. The early childhood industry is ripe with growth opportunities. Grant funds should be abundant. You just need to know where to find them and making sure you're hitting deadlines. I learned that one the hard way last year. And then real estate investment is a very strong strategy. I think we heard that over and over and over at our conference. I have about 5 minutes for questions, and I'm going to jump into the chat box and see if anyone has questions or needs a little assistance. Let's see if I can find, hi everybody. And I'm just going to give you a couple minutes to look at the chat, to bump into the chat box and ask questions or give me any kind of feedback. Hi, Allah. Oh, Adrian, hi. Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm talking to all my pals. Hey, Aretha, I just talked about you, Aretha. I'm just checking out all of our attendees right now. I'm very happy to anyone that was at our Shift conference last week. Please jump in. Hi, Andrea. Please jump in and tell me what your takeaways were or what session you liked and why. And again, I did talk very quickly. It was really challenging pulling this together because I wanted to give you really meaty content, but I can't possibly give you an hour, hour and a half of content on one slide. So you'll just have to come to the next shift. Okay, I'm checking out the chat box. Yes, Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. Yes, we'll be sending out the slides. Meredith, one of our gals from the Hinge team, who does all of our amazing marketing, sends them out as well as the recording. So if we've got your email here, which we do, we will send it out. Sharon Foster. Hi, Sharon. Advocate from Georgia. The Georgia GCCA is an amazing group. I would say I don't want to offend anyone, but I would say they're probably the #1 advocacy group in terms of being well funded, just very great mission and able to work together as a team very, very well. So shout out to the GCCA. They did an amazing job, or they do an amazing job. And that would be Sharon Foster's very active. Are you the president right now, Sharon? Oh, Adrian, you guys do a great job of packing content in. I'm sorry I missed. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Adrian. Yes, I'm so sorry. I owe you a phone call. Let's see, Elke. Hi, Elke, we missed you. Aretha, the conference was amazing. Well, and you participated as a panelist. So thank you, Aretha. You did an amazing job. Marilyn, great job. Oh, wonderful info. Great. Thank you so much. There is way more, Marilyn. We've got lots for you. Look for Molly's webinars. And honestly, if you want to email me, if there's anything else of these slides that you're intrigued by, I can get you more content. And I can probably get you all of the presentation. Nadia is saying, I know Alita is really good at getting her staff together. Were there certain ideas she thought were good to do with our staff to build morale given the COVID times? Okay, so I've got 2 ideas on that. What she does is, and 2 people I know do this, shout out to Melissa D'Souza out of Little People's College in Boston and Alita. They go live with their teams. They go on Facebook Live, so it's not a public. They go live, and what Missy does, Melissa D'Souza, is she does a happy hour. And it's just a set time every week. Pop on into a Zoom. She calls it happy hour. You could have a drink or not, but she answers questions just kind of anecdotally. Alita is more formal. She'll go on and she'll say, hey, in your dream manager surveys, I know a lot of you really want tips on budgeting. So she'll take content on budgeting, credit cards, how to get out of debt, how to do a family budget, how to save for college or save, savings. And she'll do content Facebook Live. So that's a really good, easy way to do it outside of COVID in terms of what do people need to do to come back. And then I know Andrea Brown, who's on this call right now, gosh, they do an amazing job. They'll do like a rollerball party with essential oils, and they'll do their concoctions. And so if a staff member has a headache, they'll have the concoction. I don't know if it's lavender or, she might type in the chat. Andrea, I'd love to hear from you. Concoctions, and do like homeopathic, cool, sensory kind of remedies that they do. So if a teacher has a headache or they're not feeling well, she'll do a party, an essential oil party. Let's see. I love when you guys talk to me. It's so weird doing a webinar because I'm just talking to myself. So I'm glad I'm talking to y'all now.
$11 a.m.
Oop, that's my warning. Yes, perfect, Marilyn. Awesome. Oh, Sharon, yep, absolutely. And what an amazing operator. If you go to Sharon's website and look at her fallen tree on the playground, oh my gosh, her outdoor classroom, spectacular. Bell's Ferry in Georgia. I think that might be it with questions. Oh, there's another one. Oops, sorry. Allie, hi. The market for wages is shifting significantly, about 30% upwards. We've already raised our tuition during the summer, so we don't think we can do it again at this point. Are others seeing this shift in wages as well? Yes, absolutely, Allie. Should we wait to see if the market settles a little or roll with it? It would mean increasing current staff pay by 30% for equity and retention. Even staffing agencies have raised their rates by 100%. Holy moly. Okay, so Allie, let's jump on a call because we're out of time, but great question. You're in the right room and the right webinar for support on that. Happy to talk with you. And it looks like we're at the top of the hour. Again, my email, kpetchel@hingebrokers.com, and sorry. Stay tuned for our next webinar. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of the Q&A. Stay tuned for our next webinar, which will be announced in our next newsletter. The next webinar will be announced in our November newsletter. I know Molly is planning to do either one or two. Always in January, early in the new year. Kathy Ligon does an amazing state of the industry webinar, which is really one not to miss. If I've missed you on the chat, feel free to email me. I know Meredith from our team will be helping respond, and we sure do appreciate that you guys joined us today, and thanks so much for listening, and feel free to reach out. I'd love to know what's working for you all. and, maybe interview you for some future content. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.